My advice to screenwriters is that screenwriting is not writing, it is storytelling, and therefore it's not part of the literary tradition, it's part of the oral tradition. So tell your stories before you write them.
Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
What are you obsessed with? One thing that keeps coming back is why we do things against our own best interest. Why, when we can see what will make us happy, we do the opposite. What is that about, you know? And that, to me, is the essence of character, the essence of dilemma. And so I keep coming back to that. I find the metaphor, so whether it's a taxi driver or a gigolo, a drug dealer, a pastor, and I start looking for the contradiction, where the two things are coming apart, where you have a drug dealer with a midlife crisis. How does that actually work, you know? You're sort of looking for a problem, then you find a metaphor for that problem, and then you find a contradiction inside that metaphor.
A DD told me when a drug dealer starts writing a diary, it's time to quit. I started writing after that. Not every night, now and then. Fill up one book, throw it out, start another.
Is Netflix evil? Oh, certainly not. You know, the goal of artists is not to combat technology, but to exploit it. You know, movie technology rolls over and changes all the time. When they first started making movie theaters and putting 500 people in a dark, air-conditioned box, that wasn't because they thought they would be comfortable there. That was how they could make money. Now we know have a better way to make money. Let them sit in their air-conditioned homes with their great sound systems. So it's all about the monetization and not so much about the experience. And they're not evil. I mean, Marty certainly could have never made The Irishman without Netflix.
So how about after that? Not yet, not yet. We're not even done eating the meal yet. You want the cake? Come on, you can't do that. Well, where's my... Shit! Fuck! Fuck!
3.5 hours is rough at home, which is why these limited series are so successful. You watch an hour and you don't feel that you're stopping. You know, you come back the next week and watch the next hour of the crowd. I think it would have made a nice three-parter. He didn't think so, but I did. What did you learn from Martin Scorsese? I learned from Taxi Driver. I had written a character who was not a very interesting character, but he had to do some exposition, and I needed him. And Marty cast Albert Brooks, who was a stand-up comic who had never done a movie. What he realized is that if you have a dead character or a difficult character, cast a comic, because they'll find a way to bring it to life. You can keep them from doing their shtick. So like when I hired Cedric the Entertainer, I said, I'm not hiring you to be funny. I don't want you to be funny. I'm hiring you because you're going to be interesting when you're not funny.
The whole world is a manifestation of his holy presence. I think this is an issue where the church can lead, but they say nothing.
So I learned that from Marty, right? And I've done that all over the years. Which critic or critics do you trust? I was a critic, and I know, what comes with a job. And you make mistakes, and you make enemies. And I'm reminded, I was on the lot at Paramount making Gigolo, and Warren Beatty wanted me to see Reds. And I was tired from work, but he was really pressuring me. So I went to the studio theater, and I sat way up in the corner where no one could see me. And I fell asleep. But I didn't know there was an intermission. So the lights came up, and there I was asleep. And the next day, Warren's assistant came over to me and said, Warren saw you sleeping during Reds. And, you know, he was upset. And I said to him, look, I know it took Warren 10 years of his life to make this movie, but you can tell him that 3 hours of mine mean more to me than 10 years of his. And you always have to remember that when you think about critics. It's 2 hours of their life. Maybe it's 10 years of yours, but it's 2 hours of theirs. And they have every right to draw an opinion out of 2 hours of their life. How do you like your time? The wheels are coming off the wagon, babe. And I'm going to be gone before it happens, but you're going to see it happen. Not the end of the world, the end of the species, though. The Earth is going to be just fine. It'll be fine 500,000 years from now. Just we're not going to be. You know, we've run out of ways to survive. Our gorilla brains are not going to get us out of this. I mean, I made First Reformed, which is about someone who was obsessed with that.
Can God forgive us? For what we've done to this world?
Who can know the mind of God?
You know what the problem with all those movies is? They all have to have an upbeat ending. Because if I made a movie about the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens, but I could only sell tickets to the Neanderthals, how many Neanderthals want to go see that movie unless you give them their happy ending? Well, that's where we are now, you know. Who wants to see a movie where the end is that the world goes dark? The last movie that blew your mind. We just talked about this year, Parasite, last year, Shoplifters. They represent both something new and something fulfilled. There's a sense of completion and accomplishment as well as originality. What do you do when you are not writing a movie? Well, for the most part, I'm always kind of thinking about what to write. I do like exploring things on the internet, and I don't mean junk. I mean, the internet is, if you're a curious person, today all you have to say is, you know, see something over there and you say, how does that work? You know, or how does that camera work? How exactly does it work? Well, you just type it in, and you'll see a YouTube. It shows you exactly how it works. And so, if you're a curious person, you can get lost on the internet. The time that remains. I think I maybe have 1 or 2 good films in me. You know, you reach this point of life where, you know, people you know are dying. And it's no great surprise to every day you open the paper and somebody you've known or known about it is dying. So it's not much of a surprise anymore. And I've resisted getting involved in TV series. 2 things I don't like. It's a huge time commitment, a minimum of 5 years if it's successful. And it's a group creativity. And I don't like group creativity much. I just like to work on my own, even if I have to work at low budgets, even if I have to scrimp and save and not have the big toys. I know I have one more in me, which is the one I'm starting in a month. Last year I didn't know that, so at least I have one more.